How old were you at this time?
Cuban Missile Crisis. 7 years old. I was 7.
Did you live with your parents at the time?
Yes, I did. We lived in the suburbs of Chicago.
They worked for...
My parents worked. My mom stayed home, and my dad worked in the suburbs of Chicago. So at that time, yeah, I have one brother and one sister, one older, one younger. Okay.
Well, what kind of neighborhood did you live in?
I lived in one of those called the Korean War bungalows. They were basically built for the Korean War GIs coming back from the war. 1,000 square foot houses that are up in Rolling Meadows in Carpentersville, Illinois, is where I grew up. So 3-bedroom, bathroom. Yeah. So Carpentersville is probably 33 miles from Chicago.
When did you realize that your parents, or when did your parents find out about the Cuban Missile Crisis?
It was on all the news channels, even though it was only like 2, 5, 7, or 11, and Channel 9. That's all the channels that we had, and the newspaper was the mainstream of information in that time. So it was big news, big news. Found out immediately. Back then, television was the main form of entertainment. You sat as a family and enjoyed it. Most of us, I was like a human TV antenna to get a better picture. Move the antenna or change the channel. There were no remotes as such. So it was a family situation to where we were really engaged. But what was on the news or the newspaper, or listening to the dinner conversation between my mother and my dad.
Like fully understand, or did you have to have it explained to you?
I didn't really have to have it explained to me, because even in the grade schools we had duck and cover for nuclear attacks, where we would crawl underneath our desks or from there into the hallways with no windows, and that I didn't really know the scope. Just that growing up through the 50s, McCarthyisms and the Big Red Scare, and of course the process of basically being nuked was every day that Russia was the bad guys that we grew up with, and the fear of them, because they were always we were always told that they were the aggressors.
To watch like any propaganda cartoons?
We would watch maybe a film on duck and cover at the school, but that would be the only. Are you talking propaganda from the Russians or propaganda from the United States?
United States.
Oh, absolutely. Honors that do no wrong. We expected them to be very honest to us because they represented us involved. And it was a different era. That we believed what they told us was the gospel at that time.
The people around you changed. Like, did they start getting like more panicked?
There were television ads for air raid shelters. They advised us to go to the stores and don't hoard. Get up water, bandages, safety stuff for burns. People that weren't affluent didn't have the air raid shelters built in their backyards, and we had supplies, food supplies and stuff in our crawl space, in emergency lighting and batteries and bottled water, big bottles of water is what we had downstairs. So, yeah, our family made provisions to try to withstand something like that, but being 34 miles from a central city, you know, hindsight now, there's no way.
Do you practice drills outside of school?
My family, my dad and mom got us together to get down into the crawl space with the lights and stay next to the concrete wall, and my sister hated the cobwebs that were down there. She was older, and we just went along with our parents. We didn't question. Back then, there was no questioning. So, hope I answered your question.
Did it change your experience as a child? Like, if you were playing outside, did you have to like be within a certain distance of the house or anything?
We were told that if there was such an attack, we'd have the sirens that go off the first Tuesday every month to head home right away if we heard those, to run home.
Did you like have any like extreme worry at the time?
As a young child, you absorb what you see. Might not understand everything at that time, but you could see that it was everywhere on the news, on the newspapers, in the schools. It was really an intense situation, especially picking up from my mom and her vibes. You know, it's really hard to prepare for something that you have no control over whatsoever. And my younger brother and myself at that time, yeah, we were very concerned with it. It was on the first thing on the news every single day. Your friend's house, I can remember going to my friend's houses down the block, and their parents were glued to the TV set. And they had the big line drawn in the ocean that if they cross this point, we're going to escalate the situation. And the flyovers and the newspapers, and you could see the missiles on the ships. And it just built up. It really, really did, guys. And yeah, we're frightened, scared. The people that didn't have a say-so involved with what can you do? What can you do? And you're gonna, two superpowers gonna destroy the world over this stuff? Who wins? Who wins? And seeing your parents that you relied on be very concerned with it. Okay, of course they try to keep us, you know, quiet and whatever with it. So it was a very stressful couple weeks involved. So that's how it affected us. So, all right.
Did you learn anything at that time that you would like to share with the younger generation?
What we learned is through negotiation and diplomacy. Okay, not to reach to irrational solutions to situations. What I know now, what caused an awful lot of that situation, we caused putting missile sites right at the border of Russia and Turkey. Okay, how would we react if they did that? Okay, and that was brought out decades later. Well, today, still question your government. There's questions I have. Why can't we see how Kennedy was assassinated in 75 years? Give me a break. Okay. There's peaceful solutions for everything. It's not just jump to armors, to arms and what have you on it. Let cooler heads prevail. Okay. Anything else?
Oh no, that's it. Thank you for giving us your time.
Ladies, thank you very much.
Thank you.
My pleasure. I hope it was